We are live. Just going to play with the camera here a little bit. All right. Hello, everyone. I've got my little Bluetooth mic plugged in, so hopefully the audio on this is fine. Wanted to talk a little bit about Scientology's latest attack on the Squirrel Squad. I think there's some things worth pointing out. For those of you who don't know, Confident Chris got seriously beat up last night about 4 minutes after leaving L. Ron Hubbard Way. And you are not going to convince me that this was not a setup. No, sir. Nope. This was not a homeless person asking for money. Nope. This was a tactic, in my opinion. If you watch the end, for anyone wanting to see what actually happened. By the way, we're here in LA right now. We're actually about to meet up with Jessica and Hellcat and Chris. I mean, Chris is okay in the sense that he's out of the hospital. He's not okay in the sense that he's injured. He got hurt. And by the way, I did earlier today on my community tab, I shared a post that Streets LA put up on Streets' community tab with Chris's link tree, and it's got, I think it's got his PayPal or his Cash App or something. And if please support Chris, please donate to Chris. He's going to need some medical bills paid for and stuff like that. Yeah. I'm purple because I'm at Serge's apartment, and everything in here is purple. Purple and pink and blue, but yeah, I'm purple. Okay. If you watch, when you're done watching this, go to Confident Chris's live stream from last night. It's probably 2 hours and about 2.5 hours, but go to the very, very end. And as he was walking to his car, only about a block or two away from L. Ron Hubbard Way, a guy aggressively approached him and asked him for $2. Guys, that's just a tactic to get someone to reach for their wallet. That's not actually a homeless person asking for money. And then when Chris very politely said he didn't have $2, the guy asked for $1 and was very, very pushy. Said, you should have $2, you should have $1. And then when he said, I'm really sorry, if I had it, I would give it to you, I'm really, really sorry. And then when he didn't have $1, he said, but you got that phone. Can I borrow your phone? Guys, this was just a robbery. And I just don't personally believe that it was a coincidence that this guy was posted up right near Chris's car. Scientology knows where he parked. Scientology's got tails on these guys. And we know that for a fact, by the way. That's not speculation. There's many things I want to say about this. The Office of Special Affairs uses the front group, the Scientology front group, CCHR, Citizens Commission on Human Rights, uses CCHR to fund black bag operations that even OSA doesn't want to be connected to. That's just a fact. Whether it has anything to do with what happened with Chris or not, what I'm telling you now is just a fact. CCHR is the only front group Scientology actually cares about, and it's the only front group that actually makes money and that Scientologists actually donate to. And CCHR will use its cash to hire very bad people to do very bad things. That is just a fact. No one's going to be able to convince me until, no one's going to be able to convince me that Scientology did not use a whole lot of CCHR petty cash to hire some thug to post up outside Chris's car and to basically just stage a robbery. When we meet up with Chris here soon, I'm gonna get every last little piece of information about what happened out of Chris that he can remember. I believe these are the tactics that Scientology has resorted to. I believe this completely. I believe Scientology has realized there's nothing they can do about these streamers legitimately. I think they've realized that not even their tactic of playing their own copyrighted music and trying to get the channels taken down through copyright strikes, I think they know that's not going to work. And like, we have to do something to keep these streamers from wanting to keep showing up at our properties. By the way, I think Scientology is even more scared of these streamers showing up outside the Anthony building on Fountain Street than they are of people showing up outside of the places on L. Ron Hubbard Way. And I think they've realized if we can't win this fight legitimately, oh crap, I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Let me try this, guys. Okay, Do Not Disturb. Okay, I'm back. If we cannot win this fight legitimately, then we just have to terrorize people into being too afraid to show up. I 100% believe that Scientology orchestrated the guy to attack me a couple weeks ago on Hollywood Boulevard. I believe that because, guys, for veterans who have PTSD, do not go out of their way to seek to involve themselves into confrontational situations. I do not believe the guy who's using his dog to attack the squad is just a veteran who has PTSD, who's triggered by protesters. No, a real veteran who really had PTSD would feel shame and guilt for acting out in this way and wouldn't continue to seek the people out that he's claiming to be triggered by. I think it's a setup. It didn't work on William when they sent that guy out to attack him the first time. It didn't work on, guys, who was the guy that got bit out that first night? I think it was Hellcat. I think Chris Without a Hellcat is the one who had on like a leather bomber jacket and got bit by that dog that night. It didn't work on SP. Is it SP Spanglish? Who's Angry Gay Pope's friend? SP Spanglish? Yeah. It didn't work on SP Spanglish. It didn't work on me. And I think they're resorting to actual violence. That's my opinion. Now, what would I love to see happen? I would love to see the LAPD take that attack seriously and go pull the video footage from all of the businesses on that street, find out when that guy showed up, how long he was waiting there for, and find out his actual identity. What? That's not the pizza already. Oh, they're already here? Oh, okay. And until they find out exactly who that guy is, well, actually, even if they find out exactly who he is, that doesn't prove Scientology didn't hire him to be there and do that. You know what I mean? And so, oh, is that the landlord for the water, maybe?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. That's not the pizza.
It is.
What? That was the fastest ever. Wow. Let's give him a shout out. What was the name of that pizza place?
Mulberry Pizza.
Mulberry Pizza from Beverly Hills. Wow, that was some fast service, you guys. You are on top of it. Wow. It was $90 for 2 pizzas. I'm not going to lie. It was incredibly expensive, but it is Beverly Hills, and that did include delivery and taxes and everything. And tip. That included tip. Okay. I believe Scientology is resorting to violence. Because what's the message that we're trying to give people on this protesting, this live streaming? Anybody can do it. What we've been saying is that one of the greatest things that these kids are demonstrating is that you don't really have to be scared of these guys. They're more scared of you than you are of them. Woo, that's a dangerous message if you're Scientology. We don't want the world thinking that they don't have to be afraid of us. That doesn't work for us. We need people to be afraid. We need people to think twice. We need people to feel unsafe. We need people to feel like it's just easier to stay home. So I think they're resorting to violence. When a few minutes before Confident Chris left L. Ron Hubbard Way, the LAPD showed up. And the LAPD showed up, and one of the things I love the fact that these kids have figured out is that when the police car shows up, you can take a photo of the computer screen in the police car, and you'll see the dispatch notes, and you'll see who called, and you'll see all of the dispatch notes. Well, what Scientology said is they said that there's a guy outside. He goes by Confident Chris. They gave a description. They said he's got a flashlight. He says he's out there hunting duckies. This is what the police note said. Confident Chris is out there. He's got a flashlight. He calls the Scientologists duckies. And he says he's out there hunting duckies. And they said he's screaming. Confident Chris doesn't scream. Screaming makes it, he's screaming. And they even said, we think he's escalating his erratic behavior for views. And they said, be warning to the LAPD. These were the phone notes. Warning. He's anti-police. Right? And so not only did they call the police yet again on what is just normal protected free speech activity, but they're trying to get the police to be like, oh, these guys are against us. These guys are against us. They're trying to get the police into a state of agitation where the police are expecting confrontation and act accordingly. Really, they're setting the LAPD up to constantly look like fools. And I really, really hope the LAPD gets this message. I hope they catch on, is what I'm saying. Because if I was the LAPD, I would be furious that Scientology was constantly trying to weaponize us against people who are just engaging in protected free speech protest activity. There's another thing. A couple days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, Mindy, Mindy, the one everyone thinks is a plant. Poor Mindy. Poor Mindy. I want to do a chat with Mindy just to get her thoughts on why she thinks everyone thinks that she's a plant. But anyway, I'm not picking on Mindy. I'm just making sure we're talking about the same Mindy. Mindy was assaulted. Mindy herself was assaulted. And when the police showed up, this was outside the Celebrity Center. Mindy said she basically wanted to press charges. She wanted to file a private person's arrest. Or she wanted the police to arrest the woman who assaulted her. And the police, they tried to do to her what they did to me. They tried to say, well, if you want us to arrest her, we're going to have to arrest you as well. And from what's been explained to me, what the police tried to do was to get Mindy to admit to essentially being part of a gang. This is the other part of Scientology's tactics that I just wanted to discuss in this video. First of all, they're resorting to violence. Second of all, they're resorting to electrifying the LAPD to be into a state of confrontation. And they're trying to characterize the protesters as a gang. And one of the reasons that I believe that Scientology is hiring people to resort to violence to try and to continuously provoke protesters into violence, and when they can't, to actually resort to initiating violence, is to establish a pattern of violent interactions, no matter who provokes it in the real world, so that they can use this to paint all of the protesters as a gang. Now, I'm no expert on the law or whatever, but it seems to me that once you start using gang language, it becomes one of these things where the entire group can be perhaps legally held responsible for the activities of any individual in it. And maybe that's something that I should talk to Zach or Poe about, my lawyer friend Zach, Poe on the Go, is do the rules for the police change? Do the rules for prosecutors change if they're dealing with a gang? How do you define gang? I know, for example, I think I know this. Maybe I don't know what I don't know. I think certain criminal statutes, certain violations of criminal statutes, if I'm not mistaken, if it is considered to have been a part of gang activity, I believe that's an escalation. What do they call that when they add? We were talking about like the Danny Masterson. Like there's what he did, but then if what he did included a firearm, it's like there's a word for it. It's not escalator. I'm looking at the live chat, guys. What's the word legally speaking? Enhancement. It's an enhancement. I believe gang-related activity is an enhancement upon otherwise normal statutory violations. This is Scientology's strategy. Oh, just like they tried to label Anonymous a terrorist group. Exact same concept. Anonymous wasn't just a bunch of protesters. They were a terrorist organization, right? That is what Scientology, they're trying to go down that route with the protesters. It says I'm frozen. It doesn't look frozen on my end, guys, but I'll just keep going. There's nothing I can do about it. So, look, I've known all along, and I've been saying all along, there's nothing that's a higher priority for Scientology to figure out what to do about the protesters, how to take out the protesters. Oh, they tried another tactic with Streets LA. They tried to get him served with a temporary restraining order from this clown Joey, who lives near the test center. Joey always shows up with his dog. He always shows up to argue with the protesters. And they tried to get Joey to serve William with a restraining order. Apparently the restraining order was not approved. And so like Joey appealed it and he set a hearing. And so what he served William with was actually a subpoena to show up to the hearing about the restraining order. But apparently William wasn't. There is no actual restraining order. That's to my understanding, guys. I could be wrong about everything I just said. That's just to my understanding. So they're using Joey to try to get restraining orders served. They're using the dude with the dog to try to attack and intimidate protesters. Now they're trying to paint everyone as a gang and trying to get people to admit to being part of a coordinated activity. It's actually what I love the most about everything that's happening is that it's not coordinated. It's not. There's no leader. There's no schedule. There's no organization. You know what it has going for it is its decentralization, its lack of coordination and organizing. You see Streets out there whenever he wants by himself. You see Jessica out there whenever she wants by herself. You see Confident Chris out there whenever by himself. Now, unfortunately, we've now seen the potential downsides to that. There's danger if you're out there by yourself, particularly late at night, particularly in unobserved streets. It's sad, it's unfortunate. Now, if the biggest takeaway from what happened to Chris is that there's safety in numbers, it's better off not going out there by yourself. Like I believe Chris and Danny were on L. Ron Hubbard way together, and then they split up, and Danny got in his car, and Chris walked to his car. Well, in the future, what should happen is 2 people walk to one car, 2 people drive to the other car. We got to stay together. We got to stay in groups of 2 or 3. Now, let's be honest, what's going to happen now? Everyone's going to stay in small groups. That's going to make it easier for Scientology to try to say it's a big organized, conspiratorial, whatever, gang conspiracy and shit like that. But honestly, guys, Scientology is always going to try to paint it in the worst way possible. Scientology is always going to try to make it seem like some terrorist organization, some violent gang organization. The best thing everybody can do is just be live as often as possible, be open and transparent as possible. Maybe even, if people are walking together, just say it on the stream, say in the live chat, we're walking together because we're afraid Scientology goons are going to attack us, My biggest fear is that Scientology's tactic will work and that people will be afraid to show up, especially since one of the biggest messages we've been trying to get out there is, look, guys, you don't have to be afraid of these guys. A couple young kids with a cell phone can shut down an entire Scientology block. They're so much more afraid of you than you should be of them. And Scientology's realized that's a dangerous message, and they've got to make sure people are afraid. Well, I got to tell you, it gives me pause. It gives me pause to recommend that a bunch of youngsters with cell phones show up and do this stuff if people are getting attacked. I don't want to put people in harm's way. And yet, I don't want to discourage people from continuing to do the kind of amazing work that Streets and Jessica and Chris and Easy Quick and Snazzy Yodo and Ellie Cam have been out there doing. So what does that leave us with? It leaves us with just trying to figure out how to do it as safely as possible. And I think safety in numbers. If you see your favorite streamer going out there, one of the best things you can do is just to show up and stream them from 10 feet away. Just, maybe that's a whole other subgenre of activism, is to show up just to stream the streamers from afar so that someone's always got their 6 and their 3 and their 9 and their 7 and their 5. If you got your favorite streamer and you see them go live and you want to jump out there and just stream them for security, that's a great way to help. Let's see. Yeah, when I heard they were trying to get Mindy to agree to like that she was, or acknowledge, or say something to acknowledge that she was part of some organized effort, I was like, oh, that's the play. That's the play. And that was a few days ago. And then yesterday, Chris gets attacked, and I go, yeah. It's not a coincidence so many protesters are being attacked, not in my opinion. And man, the LAPD better get on this. The LAPD better get on this assault case, and they better go find out who this guy was. And I'm sure Streets will be making sure that the LAPD does just that. That's the awesome thing about having Streets out here and having his first passion being cop watching. That he's got the expertise and he's got the huevos needed to stay on the LAPD and be their worst nightmare and almost force them, humiliate them, shame them into doing the right thing. And that's one of the things I asked him in the last interview that I did with him on my channel is, is it possible to shame the LAPD into doing the right thing? And he said, that's the only way to do it. And yes, it is possible. And that he has succeeded in doing that many times. And I think Streets is really passionate about protecting these youngins as well. So Scientology done messed up, y'all. They done messed up. And if they think this is going to keep people from showing up, they are dead wrong. So it's probably about another hour, 45 minutes to an hour. We'll be getting together with Jess and Chris. And Chris want to make sure he's okay and make sure we can help him any way that we can. So I don't think we're going out tonight, guys. I think we're going to stay in and hang. Maybe we'll do some streams here from Serge's place, some chats. But guys, check out the community tab. Check out the link to Chris's link tree. Anything you can send his way, please do, guys. Big help. All right, guys, that's it for now. I wish it was easier for me. I'm streaming from my phone. I wish it was easier for me to like pull up the comments and the live and the super chats, but I just can't, y'all. I just can't. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with me this afternoon. I think we might do something in a little bit. But until then, have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.